MarcelloMania back again for another edition. Had to get this one pretty quick coming off the heels of the Yankees and Red Sox. So I bring my friend Chris on, and we talk a lot about that. We get into a little bit about the Packers, the Tom Brady return to Foxborough. So we touch on a few subjects. And the end minute with Marcello, hit on the Stephon Gilmore news. So episode Phil Esposito, look it up if you don't know. Enjoy MarcelloMania. Episode 7, had to bring on the mouth of the South, Chris Poolboy Borschwitz, especially with last night. This is Wednesday reaction to the wild card game between the Yankees and the Red Sox. Now, Chris and I go ways back. Diehard Yankees fan. I'm clearly a Sox fan. Chris, what was your reaction throughout the game? We were talking last night, but what was your gut feeling going into the game? I should start with that.
Oh, it's like I texted you. I said it was a bold move starting Valdi. I know he's got big game experience. I'm a little salty because he didn't do anything when he was with us. But you can only get so many Bucky Dents and Roger Clemens and Babe Ruth. Every once in a while, you guys have to get one from us, I guess. All joking aside, even though I was telling people at work, I was like 10-0 Yankees easy. I knew JD Martinez being out was obviously a hit for you guys, like negative hit. But right. I was super nervous with Voit and DJ LeMahieu being out because they drove the offense last year. We saw what happened with them at the beginning of this year without the two of them. And for all the talk of JD Martinez being out, like they never were mentioning leading up to the game about Voit and LeMahieu being out. And I think that was a bigger hit.
Yeah.
I mean, Boston deserved it. I'm not a huge fan of one-game wild card. I think Boston flat out got the wild card, winning 10. They tied on the season, won 10 of 9 head-to-head. So Boston should have gotten it. So ball don't lie. Boston won last night, and what is this, 12 straight years now of just misery?
I think since 2004, the Red Sox have knocked the Yankees out of the postseason 3 times. And I know next season will probably be the opposite, but the Yankees have not knocked the Red Sox out. They've met 3 times. Red Sox have got the better of them. I mean, as you mentioned, the history for many years on the Yankees side. So
I got spoiled from the age of 6 on. And then really other than the 2009 World Series, the last happy moment I've had was Aaron Boone. And then we didn't even win that World Series. So it's not even fun looking back on it other than rub it in your face.
As a Red Sox fan, I like to say we took it all out of you guys in 2003, so you couldn't win the World Series. And then the Marlins took care of business, but
we're cursed.
So it's interesting though, like I'm just going to jump back, and I think I've said this before. At the trade deadline, even though we won last night and we're still playing, we got to go face the Rays. I think the Red Sox should have done more at the deadline. I never understood, and I want to hear your perspective. I don't understand why anyone cared about Joey Gallo. I mean, like, I don't understand why that was a big deal, but I think the Red Sox were afraid to give up anything to get Rizzo. Now, of course, Rizzo and Schwarber both go yard last night.
Yeah.
But Rizzo is a much better two-way player, and just in that series with the Yankees, if he's on first, we probably catch a foul ball, and we're not even in this game. I just think the trade deadline for y'all gave you life. Us not really doing a whole lot gave you life. I'm happy we're moving on, but what were your thoughts at the deadline? Because it was a tale of 2 seasons for both teams.
At the deadline, when I saw we got Rizzo, I mean, it was cool that we got Rizzo, but I was scratching my head. I was like, starting pitching, please. Garrett Cole's just one guy, and he had, three? I mean, last night wasn't great. He only gave up 3 runs. I know he didn't play the whole game, but everyone just down on Cole. The 2 games before were bad for him. But also when you're that good, you give up 2 runs, that's the end of the world. Obviously Cashman knew something. I mean, getting Rizzo was huge. They lost a series of Boston and then won 13 in a row. So I was left, there's a reason I don't do that job and he does. So I thought maybe Cashman did it again. And lo and behold, here I am sulking and woe is me. I just hope in the offseason I hope and pray the plan is to, as awesome as Voit is, and he's got that massive chip on his shoulder because he was a 22nd round draft pick. Which,
Yeah.
fun fact, so is Andy Pettitte and one of the Braves' big three pitchers. They were both 22nd round draft picks. Crazy. What was I going to say?
Voit, it's interesting too what they're going to do with Rizzo. I don't know his contract, but
yeah, I need to look at the contract, but I would assume what we gave up. The plan is to keep Rizzo.
Yeah.
I love Voit. He's proven himself time and time again, but you got to take Rizzo. The only question is how much money would we have to pay him? Judge is about to enter arbitration, I believe, and no one's going to touch Giancarlo Stanton's contract. We're eventually going to have to pay Glaber. Sanchez won't demand much money anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, Gary.
As a Red Sox fan, Voit is the most hateable Yankee. Like he just
told me that.
Like he's always got the chain and his shirt's unbuttoned, and I can't stand him. Like, every team, I'm sure there's a couple guys on the Red Sox, like that's a hateable Red Sox. Like Voit is the most hateable Yankee for me.
It's been, I think we had this conversation a couple months ago. Like right now, Boston, and I really enjoyed watching Mookie there and Benintendi.
Yep.
And, they're not on the team anymore. So, like, actively, there aren't any Red Sox players I dislike. Not a huge Alex Cora fan. But that's just because he keeps beating us, and he's a very lively character. So, when he's beating us, you see it. But, yeah, no, I guess I get it. Honestly, I'm blown away he's allowed to keep it unbuttoned like that. I mean, this scruff I've got going on right now, I'd be told to shave at the Yankees.
Yeah,
I mean, Garrett Cole, if he wasn't a $300+ million man, he wouldn't have that flow back here.
$324 million for what? Not even 3 innings last night, and I know they pulled him, but he was getting hit. I mean,
he had no command from the start.
Yeah, and so I'll go back yesterday. Everything I said about the Red Sox this year has been the opposite. At the deadline, I felt awesome about them. They went in the tank. Every time, I give up on them, they fight back. When I start to trust them again, like this series going into the Rays, we're probably like, I don't know, I'm going to say Rays in 5, but as soon as they hook me just enough, the opposite. So going into yesterday's game, I was like, I don't know why. I think it was just because it was in Fenway. I was like, I feel good about this game. I didn't really know how it was going to unfold, but I felt confident in it. And then yesterday, I will say, the way it started, Stanton in, I think, the first inning rips that one off.
On like the second pitch. And
I thought it was gone.
Go again.
I think everyone –
Fenway.
Yeah. I thought everyone thought it was gone, and I was like, oh, my God, we escaped there. And then Bogarts and Devers deliver, and all of a sudden it's 3-0. But then when they pulled Cole, I think we had a couple runners on, and you guys escaped. I was like, oh, this is the second half of the season's been. We're going to somehow blow this.
They got me roped back in, and I think I don't want to say nail in the coffin, but in hindsight it kind of was, is why are you sending Aaron Judge around third when you could have
Thank God.
Rallies? It's called a rally. Like,
well, I mean, to be fair, Judge grew up a Red Sox fan, so he was just helping us out.
Yeah, you never know. Could be some home cooking. I mean, I do want a full investigation on whether or not they put a giant fan on top of the Green Monster to blow those back, because if that Green Monster is another 5 feet lower, both of those are still in orbit. But no, which goes to what I meant to mention earlier is when I saw Joey Gallo was in the 4 spot before the first pitch, I knew we were toast. I knew there was going to be a time. He's awesome, but he's not come up big when we need him.
Yeah. He's a solid player. If he's at the bottom of your lineup, that's it. Like, you get some production from him. That's good. Yeah. He shouldn't be, I don't think, at least his recent play in the heart of your order. I disagreed with, and me and you were texting, our bullpen has been so bad the second half of the season. Evaldi was dealing. I love him. He's just a big game guy. I thought when they pulled him, I thought that was going to haunt us too, but we escaped again. And you mentioned the play with Judge at the plate. I mean, that game, obviously you look at it like, oh, the Red Sox dominated. It was a swinger here or there that it completely flipped.
When you texted me about the bullpen, and they had just mentioned on the broadcast 0-3 being up 4-0 in the eighth inning, and it's a 3-0 game, I think it was, and they pull Uvalde, and I'm going, they did it to themselves again.
Yeah.
I knew it was the fifth inning. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was in the middle innings.
Yeah, and I'm going, they just did it again, because I mean, you watch them more than I do, Boston, with that bullpen.
Been bad.
Watching that live last Saturday at Nats Park when they brought in Ottavino, I was sitting there going, their bullpen's going to pitch them out of a playoff spot. I mean, they pulled those games out, but it was just seeing it live. I was like, this is bad.
Yeah. They got some decent starters, with Sale coming back and Valdi, but it's just when they seem to hand the ball off, they'll have 4-run leads and blow them at least in the second half. But, I mean, it was just, I wasn't comfortable until we got out of that jam in the late innings. And then I said, all right, we got it. But it wasn't until 7th, 8th inning that I felt actually good about it.
I think by the 7th inning, I think I was asleep in my recliner. I was like, come on, it's never over till it's over with these two teams. And I was just like, hey, it's not the same Yankees.
Yeah, no, and I don't foresee, granted, I mean, the Rays are a really, really good team, and the Red Sox were neck and neck with them for a lot of the season, but I don't foresee the Red Sox getting past them. I do think they can hopefully give them a series, but that team, the Rays, just got to be the favorite in the AL. But as a Red Sox fan, I'm happy because we knocked you out, and you guys don't have a chance, so I can sleep a little easier.
Over. Playing golf again. Yeah. I'm here in a small size. Got my family up north. Just everything. It's gotten better as we gotten older. It doesn't hurt as much. What was I gonna say?
Yeah, we talk some trash, obviously, but I don't know. We're at a more understanding.
We know what it feels like being on the other side of that. I think there's that. Well, I was going to mention, Tampa. Anyone who's Yankees fans watching this would be like, oh, don't be that fan. There's no way we're getting past Tampa. They own us.
They've owned us. Yeah.
They own us. And I think it's Tampa or the Dodgers to win. I just think the Dodgers – you got Buehler, Kershaw, Scherzer, and then you throw in Urias.
Unless we get lucky tonight and the Cardinals somehow knock them out.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's crazy. I'm not a Cardinals or Dodgers fan, but I'd rather have the Cardinals than the Dodgers.
Yeah. The Dodgers have to win tonight.
Yeah.
Scherzer's insane. I had the pleasure of watching him twice this year. It's different when you watch him in person.
I will say, kind of going back to before last night's game, I didn't feel good about the way the season ended for the Red Sox, but to be the way they rallied in the last game against the Nationals, that reminded me of the first half of the season, and I thought that maybe they could carry that momentum. So that was probably part of the reason I felt better going into last night. But, last year, the Rays went strictly by the book. They pulled their ace in the World Series because that's what the stats told them to do. When we pulled Evaldi, that's what I thought. I was like, no, they're worried about third time through the lineup.
He was
have a 2-run lead, just go.
He was pitching out of his mind, and you can tell Evaldi just by his body language he was leading that entire team.
Yeah,
that whole stadium, he was leading however many thousand people, and Cora's just yanked. I mean, I know they won, but it was dicey there for a little bit.
I didn't think it was the right move. I didn't think we did enough at the deadline, but I'm happy to be here now. And that crowd was
insane.
There's something about postseason baseball. Even if you hate your team, throughout the season they're playing underperforming, you get to the postseason, it's fun to have something exciting to watch on a Tuesday or Wednesday.
The feeling I had when I heard the crowd on TV, even though it was in Fenway, it was not pro Yankees. And I know we just came off of not having fans for a year and a half. It was deafening loud. That was one of the loudest I've heard a stadium in a playoff game. I don't know if that's because, it's first playoff game since COVID, but it was. Yeah. It was.
No, I agree, man. Cool. That place was crazy loud. And for the broadcast, I heard early on it was that they were doing a stat broadcast, a stat-based one on ESPN2. So I was on ESPN2 the whole time. I was not listening to A-Rod and whoever they had on the regular feed.
What was the A-Rod?
He's okay, but I like the ESPN2 broadcast better.
Okay, I guess that's fair. It's still I mean, obviously they're calling a game together. It's still crazy. No one's even skirted the line with being like, "Hey, A-Rod, remember that time you tried to hit the ball out of his hand?" Like every time these two teams play in the playoffs, I'm just waiting for that day where the guy he's calling game with brings that up just to see the reaction.
I just think of like when Shaq joined the TNT crew. I just kept tweeting that fight between Shaq and Charles Barkley back in the day, just hoping they would acknowledge it. I'm sure
they probably had a beer after that fight.
Yeah, probably.
Well, no, that was one thing I was thinking watching the game. One of the only things that got me through that game was commercial breaks. The Shaq-a-roni pizza. It puts a smile on my face. The Shaq-a-roni pizza.
Shaq's the best, man. And
I almost cried eating a large Shaq-a-roni pizza last night. I myself asleep.
Hey, man, NBA season, NHL season's right around the corner. We'll have to get you back on at some point to talk about that. But we're in the middle of NFL season. You're a diehard Packers fan.
Mm-hmm.
I know, but tell the people what you were thinking this whole summer with all the Rodgers saga.
So that obviously coming out of nowhere, the day before the draft?
Yeah.
I've gone all over the place with this. I know the front office, obviously they seem to have left them out to dry, never getting wide receivers. At the same time, not that they shouldn't, they should have continued doing that. They should have gotten wide receivers. They draft anyone and he turns them into an all-pro. I mean, I remember when they won the Super Bowl, they lost Greg Jennings. And all of a sudden, Jordan Nelson is, I think he led the NFL in touchdown catches. I might be wrong. Randall Cobb, didn't he play quarterback in college?
He probably did.
And he turned his first game ever, he's lighting it up. Lazard, who was an unsigned free agent, I believe. Rodgers vouched for him to stay on the roster last year. They're not putting up huge numbers, but Rodgers trusts them.
Yeah.
So they didn't do much to help Rodgers, but I did not like how Rodgers just handled it. It was like, I'm done. It just.
It seems, who knows if things go well this year. I don't know. It seems like this is his last year in Green Bay.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was his only thing that he was fighting for. He came back, but like they said, he can basically opt out after this year.
Yeah, I know he's trying to leverage one way or another. That's why he was saying he was going to walk.
Yeah.
But they could win the Super Bowl. I don't think money's not the issue.
Yeah, there's too much.
I don't know. It was a roller coaster. What did Ron Burgundy say? I'm in a glass case of emotion.
So I think, and I said this earlier, I said typically I thought maybe missing all that time, as good as Rodgers is, they would get off to a slow start. But the schedule was pretty favorable. I think you guys are 3-1 now. I think you're, at the end of the day, you might only lose 3-4 games, but the schedule gets a lot tougher. You got teams like the Chiefs and Seattle on deck, so some tough teams. How do you feel like overall looking ahead? I know there's a ton of games left to play.
I'm pretty confident this weekend against the Bengals.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe the Bengals are for real. 3-1.
Your next 3 should be fine.
Yeah, and then I haven't looked too much. I could pull up on my computer right now the schedule, but
you got Seattle, the Bears, and the Washington football team after. So you should win those 3.
There should be
Cardinals,
2 wins.
Chiefs, Seahawks. That's going to be 3.
Did you say Bills, Chiefs?
Cardinals.
Oh, Cardinals.
At Arizona.
I think we'll see with Arizona. They might be one of the worst, 4-0 teams ever. I think they're 4-0.
Yeah.
They're not bad. It's just how are they 4-0? But it's a week-by-week season. Don't want to know, you move on. It's very tough to beat Russell Wilson. There's something about him. Plus that history between Seattle and Green Bay. So that'll definitely be a tough one. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. That's going to be a fun game to watch. I think we're going to see lots of touchdowns.
I'm looking at your whole schedule. The Vikings are tough, so you got to play them twice. But after the Seahawks, you got the Rams still on the schedule. You play Cleveland at home, but you have to go to Baltimore. Like it's a tough schedule. Like your last 10.
Oh yeah, it's why you gotta win every week.
Yeah.
I mean, we could win all these games and have one loss, and then run into this wood chipper. And thankfully our division is favorable.
Right.
The Lions are cursed. Like that was it 66 yards? I mean, that's insane. They're cursed.
Justin Tucker. Yeah.
And then the Bears went backwards getting rid of Trubisky. Somehow went backwards getting rid of Trubisky and going with Fields. I think that is a terrible pick, especially where they got him. And the Vikings are tough. I mean, I think that's been a tougher rivalry than the Bears as the last 20 years or so.
Yeah. And the Bears, they got Fields, but they're a long way away.
Oh yeah. We'll see. Who knows if the Bears keep their coach?
Yeah, he might be the problem. I don't know. I'd have to talk to an actual Bears fan, but it seems like Nagy's the issue at times.
All I have to say about talking with the Bears fans is all I hear from Bears fans right now is, "Hey, well, you guys are going to lose Aaron Rodgers at the end of the season." So I think that's where Bears fans are at is like, "Oh, well, your best player is leaving." Like that's all they have.
Yeah. Well, hey, this is also good timing because we are coming off the heels of the most anticipated regular season game ever with Brady returning to Foxborough. I don't know about that, but they love to play that up. And one of the biggest regular season matchups.
Yeah.
I mean, but what were your thoughts going into the game? I think you're more of a Belichick than a Brady guy.
Oh, I'm Belichick through and through. That man, that GIF or picture of him with the Let's Party, just nothing. Bill Belichick, I loved to hate him when they were winning all that time, but I have definitely found myself. I've always respected Belichick. I respect Brady, but I always there's something about Belichick. He's such a good coach. And I definitely, since Brady left, found myself being Team Belichick. If there is picking a side, I mean,
right?
People shouldn't be fighting over that. But no, leading into that game, I did not think the Patriots had a chance. And I know you'll disagree, and everyone will disagree, but for the sake of the podcast, in classic Tom Brady fashion, his kicker bailed him out. His defense and his kicker bailed him out. It's the story of Tom Brady's career right there.
So I figured the Bucs were going to win. I thought it'd be a little more high scoring. I thought, the offense for the Patriots had been struggling, but going home, I figured they'd give Mac Jones a little more. They'd open up the playbook. But, Belichick really they did well. They got a couple of breaks. I mean, if the Patriots in general just don't fumble the ball, they beat Miami – and they might beat Tampa, but they've just been giving the ball away. So that is un-Belichick.
You got a rookie quarterback. I mean,
everyone can second guess the last decision. I don't really trust Nick Folk outside of 45 yards. So we're 56 in the rain, swirling winds. He almost made it. So in hindsight, I was like, dang, he was right there. But I just don't have a lot of confidence in him outside of 45 yards. So it's easy to second guess. At the end of the day, the Bucs are the better team, and the Patriots are right there. And Mac Jones, really, that O-line is so bad right now, and he keeps getting up and taking hits. So I feel good about what I saw from him.
Oh, definitely. I agree. I didn't see being low scoring at all. I thought Brady was going to throw 3 or 4 touchdowns. Probably do one of those classic 1-yard dive into the end zone. I mean, with your kicker outside of 40, 45 yards, might want to. Brady's still playing. If that goes to show anything, call up your boy Adam Vinatieri. See if he's still got a few left in him.
Man, he struggled a little bit down the stretch there in Indy. I
think he lost the love. He needs that New England love again. Get him some snow.
We took this rookie from Michigan, Quinn Nordine, who can bomb at 65 yards, but he'll miss 7 straight extra points. So he's awesome right now.
It boggles my mind how some kickers are like that.
Yeah.
Just 45 yards, no problem. 50 yards,
right.
No problem. The old 2-point convert or old extra point, not the new one where it's however many yards. The old one from the 2-yard line shanks it.
That messed with their mind so much. That little tweaking of whatever the distance was, it like all of a sudden, so many kickers started missing field goals.
As a avid Canadian football fan, when the NFL adopted that rule, because that's what the Canadian League has always had, I was sitting there. I was like, oh, here we go. CFL is going to have one up on the NFL. The NFL kickers are going to start missing it.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely it's been the case. So, Chris, man, this was fun. I know we'll have to see what the Red Sox actually do. I think the Rays are the better team. I think we might give them a series the way we're rolling. Red Sox-Yankees, I think both need to bolster their pitching. I don't know about the Yankees, maybe the starter. We need some bullpen help next year. But
I tell you what, you guys, real quick, you can have Chapman and a prospect for Sale straight up.
No, never getting rid of Sale, man. Sale's that guy who's bought into the Red Sox.
We'll even throw in Wade Boggs. You can have Wade Boggs back.
You could offer me Voigt for the Gatorade cooler, and I'd say no. Like,
do you know how many jerseys Voigt would sell in Boston? He would be a fan favorite. That personality in Boston, man.
I'm sure he's one of those guys. If he was on my team, I would love him. But
you would. He's a blue collar guy, man. He's perfect for Boston.
Dude, I will say, going back to Stanton, I mean, really down the stretch, he took the team on his back in a sense. I mean, he was unbelievable. He got so mad at the Green Monster yesterday. He said, "I'm going opposite field for a home run." I mean, what he did down the stretch is really impressive. So, Judge is great, but to have those two guys for a while, you got to enjoy watching that.
Oh yeah, I enjoy it. I just would like to stop saying this is the year we win number 28, and just do it. Actually, win it. So.
This week's edition, Minute with Marcello. Right now, we're going with Stephon Gilmore news. Wake up today, see they cut him. Really frustrating. Now, the last couple of years, it seems like Gilmore's been on his way out the door, so that's no big deal. But they don't trade him last year when they probably could have gotten maybe a second rounder, if not at least a third rounder, some good value for it. This year, the contract's going back and forth. Again, the writing's on the wall. He's not going to play after the season. He's going to walk. It's going to be fine. But I'm thinking, all right, hopefully we'll be in the mix for a contending wild card spot. We'll need Stephon Gilmore. We'll need that defense to shore up. We're going to get the play out of him. Today I wake up and he's cut. I am so mad because, just get something for him. Then later in the day, they traded him to Carolina. So it's really weird how it all unfolded. At the end of the day, I'm glad they got something for him. I'm glad he's going to a team that I don't mind. I mean, defensive player of the year, 2 Super Bowl trips, 1 Super Bowl win. I mean, he was an unbelievable player for the Pats. But Belichick has got to get more for these trades. He undersold when Gronk came back. He gets a 6th-round pick for a guy that's easily a top 10, arguably top 5 cornerback in the league, maybe even top 3 at this point in his career. So it's frustrating to see him go. Belichick has got to start the conversation, and that's the Minute with Marcello.